this is Bobby Baggio. Let's talk a little bit about augmenting autonomy. We talk a little bit about how important it is for individuals to be independent and to act with autonomy in a virtual working environment. But they need support. The number one complaint I hear from virtual workers is I feel like I'm invisible. I feel like I'm out here and no one cares. So you want to create a virtual working environment where communication is regular, it's positive. You want to help people learn how to collaborate in a virtual environment. You want to encourage people to share, to join with others. More is not necessarily better. I talk to people who have 7 meetings a day, once an hour on some sort of synchronous platform, and that's all they do. They don't have time to get anything else done because they're in meetings all day. You want to make sure that your meetings are meaningful, that your communication is meaningful, and you want to have a schedule. You want to have a relative schedule that says this is when we're going to get together. This is when our meetings are, so people can plan. You want to limit the number of communication channels. We've got a myriad of ways, tons and tons. I call it an arsenal of communications in terms of technologies. There's an app. There's a ton of different ways, from text to synchronous platforms to video chat, on and on. Pick what you're going to use and limit it. You don't have to use everything just because it's the latest thing out there. You want to make sure, too, that you incorporate learning and development into the virtual environment. These people need to be supported. They need to socialize also. They need to have development opportunities, and they need to collaborate and socialize with other workers. So whether it's a virtual happy hour or everybody gets together over a Netflix video, it doesn't matter what it is. But there needs to be time for people to get to know other virtual members on the team as human beings. So let's take a look at augmenting autonomy. Supporting virtual workers, supporting the virtual workforce goes beyond just giving people technologies or asking people to use technologies or making sure they have the internet. You need to support people not only with technologies that work, but with events, with activities, with things that support them in terms of human development. So in order to reach mutually agreed upon objectives, virtual workers require support. They're in an environment where they're very alone to begin with. So having them feel connected and having them feel that they get the support they need to do their jobs well is very key to success. Communications, collaboration, and sharing, things that people do in common, and not just work things, but social things, things that connect people with people. It's all about building relationships online. In order to build relationships, you value similarities, but you also want to learn to value people's differences. You want to make sure people are actively engaged and that they feel like they can openly contribute. What's the best way to shut down people feeling openly able to contribute is, every time they can contribute, they get. We also want to talk a little bit about perceived support causes workers to openly contribute. If they feel like they're supported, if they feel like other workers care about them, if they feel like their boss cares about them and the organization cares about them, they're more likely to be willing to offer, to contribute openly. We also want to take a look at communication boundaries. It's very important that we respect people's personal time. We want to draw boundaries in terms of the number of apps that we use, the number of ways that we communicate, the times of days that we communicate. Constant contact can really hurt much than it helps. The virtual worker also needs training. They need training to support them as a person. They need social training in a virtual environment, organizational training, technical training, training on operations. Because they're out of the office, it doesn't mean they don't need to be part of the learning and development. Social integration really affects productivity. When people feel like they belong, they're part of a social group, they are much more likely to be productive. They're much more likely to contribute. They're much more likely to be attentive and involved and willing to offer solutions. We live in a world of data mining and analytics. And if you're collecting information on employees or learners in a virtual environment, it's very important that you're honest about what you're doing. Tell people, we're collecting this kind of information for. People have become very wary thanks to social media and all of the things that go on in our world of data mining. And they're very, very wary of saying things when they know things are going to be recorded, analyzed, and especially if there's a fear that it will be used against them. So if you're using apps, whether it's HR apps or whether it's learning apps or whatever it is, and you're collecting data on people, be honest with them, be transparent. Tacit knowledge is conveyed by observation. Good news, the good news is that the worker is less likely to pick up on bad examples and negative examples with tacit knowledge. It's more difficult sometimes for teams to put together processes and procedures when they're spread out across the globe. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that you need to operate around the virtual environment to establish what your team is going to do and ask questions. Is this working for you? Do you feel like we're meeting too much? Do you feel like we need more meetings? Do you feel like we're making the progress that we should be making on the project? Regular structured activities need to include personal and social activities, not just business. This is very important. Whether it's just a chat over coffee once a week where for 15-20 minutes we talk about, hey, what's going on in your life, whether it's a once a week social get together, virtual pizza party, whatever it is, it has to go beyond just business. Thank you so much.